Call to order the November 13th City of New Bern Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, Kendra, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We'll start with Board Member Danielle Peoples.
Here.
Board Member Kip Paragoy.
Here.
Chairman Brad Jefferson.
Here.
Board Member Michael Duffy.
Here.
Board Member Kelly Kaiser.
Here.
And Board Member Thomas Brownell.
Here.
And then Board Member Marshall Bauer.
Here.
Right. And Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. What is the board's pleasure on the agenda for this evening?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. I'll move right into the chairman's remarks. I have two things real quick. First, we still have a seat open on this board. So anybody watching tonight or maybe not watching tonight or watching later, if you would like to join the board, if you have good ideas or if you just want to do your civic duty to the city, contact the clerk. She's awesome. She'll get you hooked up with the alderman and hopefully you can join. And then one other thing, when Rusty left, we lost our vice chair. So we don't have one currently. But there's going to be chair elections in January, I think, or February. So we could wait till then, but it's up to the board. If they don't want a chair, that's fine too. And with that, we'll move on to item number 6A, 507 Contentnea Avenue rezoning. Kendra, do you have a report for us?
Sir, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to the board and Mr. Chairman. We're going to start with that first item, just as what was referenced. This is for 507 Contentnea Avenue rezoning, or the 507 Contentnea Avenue rezoning. And the request summary here, the applicant is Go Architectural Design, PLLC, and the owner is John Phaup and Margaret Fletcher. And the location, again, is 507 Contentnea Avenue, New Bern, North Carolina. Current zoning is residential 8 or R-8, and the requested change is to go to commercial 4 or C-4. Parcel identification number is 8-015-200, and the approximation for the size is 0.178. And that's acres, sorry. The residential 8 district here, just the quick zoning district analysis. I'll try to provide some cliff notes, but it's for the promotion for single, 2, and multifamily dwellings with a minimum of 8,000 square feet, being that for the lot size, and then 4,000 thereafter for any or each additional unit. This is also to encourage, once again, the continued use of land for residential purposes. It is to discourage any use which would generate traffic on minor streets other than the normal traffic to serve residents as far as for those streets. And it also to discourage the use in which the character would not fit for that particular district. And to go on to our commercial 4, C-4 zoning district analysis, this is geared more towards your neighborhood business district. It's established as a district in which the principal use of the land is to provide for the retailing of goods and services to nearby residential neighborhoods. And as far as for the regulations of the district, they're designed to limit the businesses which may be established therein. The uses comparison here, this just gives you that difference as far as for residential 8 and also commercial 4. To the left you have residential 8 and to the right is commercial 4. I'll give you a brief moment just to view those comparisons. We'll proceed to our first map here. This is the vicinity map for the parcel, and that's highlighted in red. And that's followed by our buffer map, and we take a 100-foot approximation as far as for notice requirement. And then you have the aerial map just to reflect what's on the ground. And that's followed by our zoning map. And again, that gives you the comparison there. You can see that the yellow is being reflected as that R-8 color, and the C-4 is that lighter pinkish red color. You also have C-5 that's off further to the northeast there. Sorry about that. Okay, and at this time, the board's consideration to adopt the consistency statement is needed, along with a recommendation for the Board of Aldermen. Prior to that, if the board has any questions for myself, I'll take those at this time.
Does the board have questions?
Kendrick, I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the legal status of the dance studio that's there now under R8? Is that legal non-conforming?
That's what we would understand it to be. The difficult point of understanding whether it's legal or not legal is that we don't know how it was established, but to my knowledge and looking into the system, there is a tax record that reflects a commercial retail business that was active there when it was first established. So in theory, some understanding of process or procedure had to take place for a commercial use to be established in that structure. But there's, of course, zoning permits weren't anything during that time period as they are right now. So legal non-conforming, I think, is a better bet to say.
Okay.
So.
And if we were to not recommend this rezoning, what would the constraints be with a legal non-conforming business operating there? Could it still, could it still continue? Could it be sold or expanded?
So to my knowledge, as far as for a use that has not been ceased for more than 180 days, and to my knowledge it has not, I've asked the applicant, the owner, if that use had ceased for any period of time longer than 180 days. The gentleman indicated no. So what that entails from the non-conforming situations information that's in our land use ordinance is that the use that it essentially is current with right now may proceed and continue so long as it does not jeopardize that 180-day period where it's vacated, or if in fact it is ceased in all entirely, not ceased, but changed. So either it's vacated for 180 days or after 180 days, or it's ceased in some manner or changed. Those are the two differences there. So.
And just to expound on that, Ms. Peoples, the dance studio has been there for a long time, and local governments are constrained by statutes of limitations. So if a use comes to light that may or may not, let's just say assume was not permissible, we have a certain amount of time to assert any legal rights to enforce our land use ordinance. After that period has run, then the local government cannot enforce the land use ordinance against that use. So it becomes an existing non-conforming situation. Without knowing the particulars of when the dance studio was erected, there's a good possibility that the statute of limitations has run just based on the limited information that I have. So I concur with Kendrick that this is more likely than not an existing non-conforming situation. However, as Kendrick indicated, they can't stop the use for more than 180 days, and they can't enlarge the use. So they can't undertake any action to expand the non-conforming situation. So if this board were to not recommend, and ultimately if the property were not rezoned, the current use could continue, but it would be limited to its current scope and range.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Kendrick, is there any concern? I mean, it is a strange arrangement on Contentnea and Ruth. You got a street on both sides. This particular structure faces Contentnea.
Yes, sir.
All the rest of the houses down that strip of land face Ruth.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, if anything were to want to change there, would there have would traffic and parking considerations for be taken care of in the site assessment?
Absolutely, yes, sir. If you were to, vote essentially to recommend this for approval, and then the Board of Aldermen were to actually make it, in fact, change over to C4, all considerations would be just the same as far as for a process of if they change the use, or if they want to try to further expand on the current use, we have to reassess it during our DRC or Departmental Review Committee process. And so it will go through the full vetting in the same regard as if this was a brand new vacant piece of property. So parking and buffering, all those things would come into play.
At that time? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And they could build on the vacant land, the vacant part of it now.
If in fact that they were to meet all of the differences of requirements, depending upon what they were expanding on, so if they're changed over to C4 and they wanted to expand, as long as they're meeting all the requirements per the land use ordinance and DRC, absolutely.
And it isn't with just one lot, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Kendrick? Ms. Bullock, just to clarify, when you said if the board recommends and they change it, you mean the Board of Aldermen, correct, for the zoning?
If this board does not recommend,
Yeah.
but the Board of Aldermen changes it or does not change it, they're ultimately the decision.
They're the ones that are running the show, not necessarily us. Okay, just for everybody.
And Mr. Chairman, I apologize, not to interrupt. The applicant, when you do call her, she actually has a PowerPoint which is right behind mine, so she'll
Okay.
want to just present that. I just wanted to make that note.
I was going to ask about what was coming up next. Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Kendrick? All right, hearing none, we're going to open the public comment period. If there is anyone from the public, not necessarily the applicant, but anyone else who would like to speak, you get 3 minutes. If you're,
She's the applicant.
are you the applicant?
I'm the applicant.
You're going to come next.
We have members of the public here who are here in support, just they.
You want to come to the microphone? So
Oh,
we didn't get those comments on the microphone, so if you want to come and.
Sorry. We have applicants here, or we have members of the public here tonight who are in favor of it. We just didn't ask them to speak.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
but they're here.
There's no requirement to speak. It's just the opportunity. I'm not going to come down there and drag you up here. It's not going to happen. All right, so hearing that, then just introduce yourself and as the applicant, and you may proceed.
My name is Sarah Afterback with Go Architectural Design, and I am here representing the owners. And I just wanted to start with this this map. The map you saw earlier is a little deceiving. The property here is outlined in green, and Riverside Hardware is towards National Avenue, and then the church to the right of that, and then immediately across the street is quite a big parking lot. So when you look at the zoning map, I don't know if it's, I mean, I assume that parking lot was part of the zoning for the church, and so that's a continuous, I mean, it's just the way that it appears on the, the zoning map. So the church is in yellow, Riverside Hardware is in yellow, the property is outlined in green there, and then immediately across the street it's just a very large parking lot that I assume goes with the C4 for that church, but seems to be zoned something different as well, kind of like what we're looking at for this property. This property was built in 1960, and the zoning implemented by the city in 1968, and this couple bought it in 78 and have owned it and run it as a dance studio, being part of the community. I mean, when they're there in the community, they are using it for the zoning, which we, assume is a C4, and they're an integral part of that community, and they get along with that community, and it hasn't been a problem for all these years, and they are looking to sell the property, and it is not a house. Inside, there's no kitchen, there's no bedrooms. It is a dance studio with a bathroom. And so when they go to sell it, to be able to, you could use it as a house if it was zoned C4. You could renovate it and make it a house, but they would like that option to kind of represent what it is now as part of the community. And looking at the properties next door, which are C4. In the GIS, it has listed in there the land use as being commercial, and this is what I think Kendrick was speaking about earlier, just to show that it's everyone assumes it's commercial. That's what the use is. Everyone's familiar with that. And previously, prior to them owning it, it was supposedly a retail store. So it has been continuously used as commercial for all of these years, since 1960. Oh dear. Did I miss one? And really, we're here just trying to say that it's already in alignment with. It's really a very small building, and it looks like a little residential building from the outside. But the idea that you can have a commercial structure within this residential area that fits in a nice, seamless way and doesn't cause harm to that community. And these are just some photos of the outside, just to kind of show the nature of it. Just a really, from the outside, it very much fits in with the area. It's kind of tucked back in there. You can see Riverside Hardware a little bit farther up. And we believe that continuing that use would be in harmony with the residences there. And also, as part of that, since the church and Riverside Hardware are there and, kind of fit in with that neighborhood, it's really trying to convey that C4, it's a nice part of the community and just fits in. And so we're here tonight. We have the owners here if you'd like to hear from them as well. And we have folks from the neighborhood who have come out in support of this. And we appreciate your consideration tonight. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. The board have questions for the applicant?
Sarah, the fact that you're involved in this raises the question, are there plans already created for what will happen with this particular piece of property?
No, and I'm not involved in anything besides this. They wanted some help on this. They are looking to sell it. There is a possibility that Riverside Hardware may buy it, but really, for the larger scope of it, when you think about selling this property, if they were to sell it with the designation, you'd have to have somebody come in and create a dance studio within 180 days. Otherwise, you'd have to turn it into a residence, which would take quite a bit of money to do since there's no kitchens, no bedrooms. It's just not a house. So I have not been engaged with any further plans beyond this and don't anticipate that as part of what we're doing here tonight.
Anyone else? Okay. With that, if the owners would like to speak, you're welcome to.
One of the owners, John Phaup, I'm married to Margaret Fletcher. We came from Asheville, where Margaret was a member of a very prominent dance family. And when we came down here, we had intention, or she had the intention, that we would open a studio, a dance studio, which we did, and we found this property. At the time, it was not. We were not informed that it was zoned residential, and from all looks and appearances, you would think it was commercial. It was originally a Kingdom Hall church. If you see the inside of the building, you can see where the sanctuary was. We had no idea it was zoned residential. I'm not trying to cry for sympathy or anything, but the zoning as it stands now would make the property virtually impossible to sell, and that's going to. It's been a tax generator for the city ever since Margaret's moved into it back in the 1970s. So I would love it if the property were rezoned. It would make things a whole lot easier. I know I have talked to Trent Jarman, and he may be interested in it. He owns the buildings that are comprised of Riverside Hardware. He doesn't own the business. So it's contiguous to Riverside Hardware. If it were rezoned commercial, it would essentially be just an extension of what is already C4. So if you have any questions for me,
Any questions for the owner?
No questions, but just a comment. Thank you for sharing the motivations about the timing of this. I think that helps us in our discussion and evaluation here.
Well, I think you're going to lose a nice taxable piece of property if it's not zoned. So just looking at it from the city's point of view. Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, with that, I'll open it up to the board for discussion.
I do want to point out that we had another rezoning request in this area back over the summertime. I think it was July, for a residential rezoning to a commercial property, and we ultimately did not recommend that, as I recall. And that was the Oaks Drive property. So I just throw that out there for our discussion purposes.
But that one actually has adjacent residential homes, occupied residential homes on either side.
That's right. And I think that was ultimately for a C3 request.
Yes.
Yes, I believe that's
And
correct.
this C4 is more restrictive.
Correct.
Yeah. The problem with that particular one was that C3 allows vape shop. And for some reason, even after you guys kind of recommended they, look at something else, because first it was tabled, right? First it was denied by a draw and then tabled. And you kind of said you might want to come back with, but he didn't for some reason. He came back with C3, and the Board of Aldermen unanimously rejected it.
Yeah, I think it's good for us to just all refresh ourselves on that.
Yeah.
That coming up in the
It's
Riverside
also a long way
community too.
from there. It's over a mile from there.
It is.
And I think if we had conditional zoning, we'd be having a very different conversation
Yes.
too. But with that not at play and understanding their drivers and motivations.
Yeah, I think the only concern I have is if looking at the extensions that have been added on to Riverside Hardware, they're not very attractive and conducive to the residential portion of that neighborhood. And if we go to C4, they can obviously buy it and put more warehouse type structure, which is what all is behind their existing buildings, and they're not what I would call well maintained or very attractive or conducive to the residences on across the street. Like Sarah said, there's a parking lot on the backside, so it really doesn't have a whole lot of concern. But that's my only concern is what could happen there.
That's a good point, Mr. Perico, and I just want to remind everybody on the board, when we're evaluating a request to rezone, we want to consider all permissible uses within the proposed zoning district. So I understand what the applicant has shared about their possible intents, which is fine. They can share that if they choose to, but the relevant considerations for you all are all of the permittable uses within the C4 classification and whether all of those uses are going to be reasonable and in the public interest and consistent with the adjacent land uses.
And like many of the requests, this one has neighboring C4 and neighboring residential, so it's pretty easy to see both perspectives. Yeah.
Unless the majority of the board wants to.
But without objection, I don't mind her speaking. Again, does anybody object to that? No. Go right ahead.
I only heard, I did not see the other meeting, and I hear that it was for C3 and not C4, and there was a possibility of a vape shop on that. Is that what I heard? That is not the case for this property, and all of a sudden it sounds like you made a decision on a different property for maybe a specific reason, but that is not the intent of this owner to do anything like that, with this. It's really just a matter that they have owned it for this many years, are looking to move on from this property, and, the C4 is compatible with the area because it's adjacencies, and we don't even know that Riverside Hardware will purchase it. It's a possibility because of its adjacency, but there are many other things that could be done.
May I comment on that? So, C4 no longer allows vape shops. It was concerning that same case. In order to try to get it through, they changed it to disallow vape shops.
Yes, sir, Mr. Duffy. The only district that allows for a vape shop is C3.
Right. Sorry, we couldn't.
Excuse me, sir. We had the public comment period already.
Okay.
But without objection from the board, I will allow you 3 minutes.
I appreciate your latitude. My name is Joe Brown. I'm responsible for Highways and Hedges Revival Center, the church in question here. I'm here for the purposes of support of the Phaups and Margaret Fletcher. The only two reservations I heard is Oak Drive, which is nowhere near Sunnyside, so I don't know how that might relate. You might can make that clear to me, and the attractiveness of the property. This is one of the most well-maintained properties in Sunnyside. I see it every day, week in and week out. So maybe you can explain to me how the purpose or the use of the property might alter the attractiveness, as you said it, and how it might compromise the attractiveness of the residential area. That is unclear to me. And for a different reason, maybe after the business is handled, maybe y'all can make clear to me why the parking lot in the rear of the church is zoned differently than the church itself. Maybe that's a different day, but thank you for allowing me to speak.
All right, thank you, sir. I have no comment as to why the parking lot is different than the church.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I can kind of hopefully shed a little bit of light.
Okay.
Basically, when the map is being introduced or has essentially been put into play, in some cases you had split zoning take place. There are several differences of parcels and properties that they do have split zoning very similar to this. And the same result as to what you're currently going through today would be the same procedure and process in order to correct or fix that. You would have to go through and try to attempt rezoning the entirety of that parcel. I can't explain why the split zoning is taking place, but current with what the map is that we have at this very moment.
Could that be wrapped up in the Renew Bern effort, where you
Absolutely.
look at these lots is it the intention to look at lots like this that closely and try to put them in better conforming?
Yes, sir,
zones?
Mr. Chairman. We would try to engage folks to see if we are able to understand where their where their thoughts are, maybe particular, especially when it comes to having split zone properties, or if you own a split zone property, it may be in your best interest to try to go ahead and fix that earlier than later. So absolutely, we'll entertain it. We can't force anybody to do so, especially with the Senate bill that has kind of came into play. So we have a very cautious approach in how we try to handle that.
Cool. Does the board have any other comments? I have some just to wrap up. But
Can we comment to the gentleman's question or not?
you can, sure, if you would like.
Yeah, he kind of addressed it to me about once you rezone a piece of property, all bets are off. It has nothing to do with the quality of the structure or the way it's been maintained by the Phaups over the years. When you rezone a piece of property, it's open season for any new use to come into that property with no regard to how well it's been maintained in the past. The past is gone, and you're opening, the world is opened up into all new uses and all new applicable uses for that piece of property by anyone who happens to purchase it.
All right, thanks, Kip.
Just on the appearance issue.
Go ahead.
I just want to say it's similar in appearance, closer in appearance to Riverside Hardware than it is to the other homes on the block, if that's fair. The other homes on the block look like homes. This is a cement block building? Is that right? Okay. That's painted actually pretty close to the same color as Riverside Hardware.
Would you kind of repeat what you said?
He said that it's more, it looks more like Riverside Hardware because it's
They can't hear you when you sit back.
Okay.
The shape of it is like a house. You drive by there, you think it's a house. It's just outside outside. It says it's a fast food.
Yes, ma'am. Any other comments from anyone else? I'll not the mic I carry anyway. I'm just every other member of the board. But this area has many commercial entities. You've got Riverside there. You've got the barbershop, I believe, across the way. You've got the gas station down there. You've got the church. All these houses are in there, and they know they're in there. Those businesses are not going away. If these people want to sell this property, I mean, they can't put a mobile home on it if they were to sell it residential. They can't. They'd have to bulldoze the building and put a house on it, and that's the whole thing. So I understand. We have to look at all future uses of C4. As far as I'm concerned, I have no problem with that, but that's my 2 cents on the issue. With that, I'll entertain more discussion, or I'm open for a motion on this item.
Is this the time I should? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Is this the time I should disclose my?
Oh, absolutely, yes, sir.
Now's the time? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just before we vote or the motion is made, I just want to disclose, not on a personal basis or anything, but I served on the Appearance Commission with the property owner. The Appearance Commission no longer exists. I don't have any financial connection to him or personal friendship with him or anything of any kind. So if that's a problem, I'll just recuse.
I don't see a problem with that. Is anybody else on board?
No, the statute says you only have a conflict of interest when you have a direct financial interest in the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a financial relationship between yourself and the property owners or the applicant, then no conflict exists under the law.
None whatsoever. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Daniel, did you have a...
I was just going to share one additional thought here. I'm sort of on the fence on this one, like several of us might be. But, as we talked about the prior application in the Riverside community, we talked about how this is an area still recovering to some extent from Hurricane Florence, and that to have a use for a property that contributes to the tax base, as the owner mentioned, is a positive thing rather than having a vacant building sit there not being used. So, with that in mind, I'm compelled to recommend the rezoning to C4.
Was that a motion?
Sort of was, wasn't it?
Yeah. You don't need to read your little thing up here.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Aldermen to approve the proposed zoning map amendment, and the findings of the proposed amendment is consistent with our land use plans and determined to be reasonable and in the public interest.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Kendrick, I'm going to ask for a roll call on this one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'll start with Board Member Danielle Peoples,
Yes.
Board Member Kip Aragorn,
Yes.
Chairman Brad Jefferson,
Yes.
Board Member Michael Duffy,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly Kaiser,
Yes.
Board Member Thomas Brownell,
Yes.
and Board Member Marshall Bauer.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, we have a 7-0 vote
All right.
in the affirmative.
Thank you, Kendrick. I had a feeling I was going to get a no. That's why I asked, but I didn't, so that's okay. All right, that happens. Okay, with that, I'll open for new business if anybody on the board has any.
Thank you very much.
Hearing none, I'll move over to staff comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just wanted to first introduce you all to our new planner too. Her name is Miss Nola Roberts, and she joined us on October 20th. So basically, she's actually currently here right now, trying to kind of get into that introductory phase of just seeing and kind of understanding what you folks do. There may be, most likely in the future, a transition of my particular role to her. She's very well seasoned, very much capable, just essentially just trying to get an overview as to how we do things here in the city of New Bern. So I just wanted to at least introduce you all to her to you all.
Welcome.
Thanks, Noel.
Outside of that, I wish I had a definitive date as to when the next planning and zoning board meeting was going to be. It will be sometime in January, just to make sure you guys are all aware. I don't want to set anything right now because we haven't worked out that schedule, but please just keep an eye on your emails. I know we'll be all coming back from the holidays and enjoying family and friends and whatnot. I will try to make sure to alert everybody as soon as I can, as soon as I have that date.
So there's nothing on the agenda for December.
Nothing.
Oh, for sure.
So
Okay.
there's no meeting in December, so we get a break period, and we kind of do that intentionally for the reasons just of, family and holidays and travel. It's difficult at that point to probably get a quorum, and we don't want to set folks
We
up.
know Kip's going somewhere for Christmas because Kip's always traveling, so that's a great idea.
But that's the update from staff, so
Okay.
at least thus far.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.